Welcome to Reality is Undefeated. I'm Matt Gatewood. Thank you for tuning in. I really didn't want to say anything on this, but I feel some type of way, so I'm going to say something. All right. And a lot of people are going to feel attacked, but please get this message. This one's aimed at the Black educated community. A lot of people in the Black educated community focus so hard on making sure they sound educated when they speak that the things they're saying goes right over the people's heads. It goes right over their heads. And, you could say, well, that's not my fault. They should have gotten an education, so on and so forth. But I ask a question. Is it the Black educated community that needs the messages that are being given out on these platforms? Or is it the Black uneducated community that needs the messages being given out on these platforms? Because see, if you speak and it goes over someone's head, did you really say anything? If they never received the message, then those words were completely wasted. Now, if you're one of these extremely educated people that I'm talking about, it is important that you understand the gap between where you are and where someone else is, right? I liken it to you being at the top of the hill, trying to communicate with someone at the bottom of the hill. If you are at the top of the hill and you want that person to come to the top of the hill with you, and you're yelling, "Come up here," but they're not understanding what you're saying, the natural thing to do is to start walking down that hill until you get to a point where they can hear you and can do what you actually want them to do. So you'd walk halfway down the hill, then you yell again, "Come up here." And then they'd yell, "Oh, okay." And they'd start walking up the hill. Naturally, you wouldn't turn around and just start walking up the hill again. You'd sit there and wait till they got to you. You'd grab their hand and you'd help them up the hill. And that's the same way you have to be with people who are not on your level of education. We want everyone to be to your level of education, your level of understanding, right? And the people who need it the most are the people that are at the bottom of the hill, the ones who don't understand what you're talking about. So sometimes you need to dumb it down a little bit to where you can communicate with them and then build them up to the level you need to be at, or they need to be at, or where you would like them to be at. But there's so many of us who want to stand at the top of the hill and fold our arms and say, well, if you don't come up here, you just won't come up here because I ain't doing nothing. I'm staying right here. That's what I feel like a lot of you guys are doing. It is so important that you guys reach back and pull up as many brothers and sisters as you possibly can, right? People always act like like it's rocket science as to why little boys who grew up in the hood want to be gangsters and dope dealers, right? The reason why they want to be gangsters and dope dealers isn't because that's what they wanted to do when they were little. They couldn't wait to be grown to be that. No, it's because that's the only people in the hood that look successful. Because everyone else, when we become successful, the very first thing we do is get out the hood. So if you are a kid growing up in the hood and you walk outside your doors and the only one that's driving a Benz, the only one that looks clean as far as the way they dress, the only one that has the women is a dope dealer, what does that say to you? Because you never left the hood before. You don't even know the rest of the world exists the way it does, right? That is your symbol of success. So that at that point, when you decide I want to be successful, that is what you're more than likely going to strive to be. And that's what happened in our communities, and especially with rap music and all of that. Like the people who make it big and then come back to help out the community, they're the rappers, they're the ball players, right? So naturally, all right, the drug dealer is the successful one in my community that I see every day. The only ones that I see coming back who are successful happen to rap, or they happen to play ball. The doctors, the attorneys, the judges, the police officers aren't rich, so that's out. The educators aren't rich, so that's out. You see what I'm saying? The businessmen, none of those professions come back to the hood. The professions that come back to the hood are the professions that either aren't rich, aren't doing extremely well, or the ones that aren't necessarily what you want the kids to grow up to be. Not saying that, there's a problem growing up to be a ball player. That's not what I'm saying at all. It's just that number is just so tiny as far as achieving that it really becomes a detriment, right? But anyhow, man, I feel like that's getting a little bit off, man. Like I say, I don't want to feel like I don't want to attack the Black educated community. I just feel like y'all need to hear this. It's that simple. Because like I said before, no matter how successful you are, no matter how many degrees you have, your image is affected by the things people who have no education do. It's that simple. So anyhow, man, you already know, man, what to do. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, man. Holla at me, man.